What's going on, guys? The Comics Kid 2099 here to talk to you about Ultimate Vision by Mike Carey and Brandon Peterson. Brandon Peterson, who did some of the art on one of the Ultimate Galactus minis. It was either Ultimate Nightmare or Ultimate Extinction that Peterson did some of the art for. And this is a direct sequel to the Ultimate Galactus miniseries. This collects the 5-issue miniseries by that creative team, and it also collects the little shorts that were coming out at the end of issues of Ultimate X-Men and Ultimate Fantastic Four around this time. That was by Mark Millar and John Romita Jr. And this comes like immediately after the Ultimate Galactus event. Humanity has won, and Vision is getting ready to leave Earth and go and warn other worlds that Galactus is coming. Nick Fury mentioned that at the end of Ultimate Extinction, that Vision is still going to keep going out there and warning other planets, even though humanity, they destroyed about 20% of the Galactus cluster that is still out there, and it's still going to be seeking other worlds to destroy, so Vision needs to go and warn these other worlds and give them the blueprints on how humanity was able to win. And then she leaves Earth, and then she hears a signal from a space station manned by some humans, and she is very worried by what she hears. So she goes to the space station, and they have captured one of the Galactus units, one of the machines that almost destroyed Earth. And they say, we need your help because you were programmed to communicate with other species, and so we need you to communicate with this Galactus robot so that we can send a message to it, and it can send a message back to the rest of the swarm to destroy the whole swarm, and then we can save all future species that might be defeated and destroyed by Galactus. And she eventually agrees, and it turns out it's a trap, and the guy who is in charge of this space station is Dr. Tarleton, who in the main Marvel Universe is MODOK. And even if you don't know MODOK's human name, if you read this first issue, this guy is acting super sus, as the kids would say these days. And I hate that I just used that lingo. I apologize to all you old people like me. But anyway, even if you don't know who MODOK is, this guy is incredibly shady. And Vision herself is kind of acting like this seems like a really bad idea, but I'm going to go ahead and do what you're asking me to do. And then they betray her, they try to throw her out, but she's not quite defeated, and the second issue, the first issue, I was thinking, okay, Vision is incredibly old, probably older than human life on Earth, and she shouldn't be naive, but this issue is kind of acting like she's very innocent and doesn't really understand the ways of the world, and she's incredibly easy to trick and betray, and I felt like, okay, she shouldn't be naive, just because, I mean, she was trapped in a Soviet bunker for 100 years, so she should be a little wary of humanity. Even though she helped humanity defeat Galactus, she shouldn't be so easy to let someone stab her in the back like this. And she even, when she's talking to Tarleton, he says, I've got these cords set up so that they can connect you to the Galactus unit. She says, how do you know how to connect it to me? And he says, I spoke with some of the scientists who dissected you when you were trapped in the Soviet bunker. And she's like, huh, okay. And it seems like she should be, like, that's a huge red flag. And just the way that he's acting, it should be a bunch of red flags. But the Vision goes ahead and goes with it, and then this guy, he is able to basically activate this one part of the Galactus cluster, and then he wants to take over the world, and he is talking about how I will rule the world through ultimate science. We will, anyone who wants to create new life forms, you will be paired off with someone else that science says you will be a good match for, and then he talks about how some people will be discarded because they are undesirable. He is just a truly despicable human being. But the space station starts to betray some of the people on the space station. And that was around the part where I was getting really interested, because I thought that the Vision was hooking herself up to the space station, even though her physical body had been defeated by these guys, that she was active on the ship, and that she was going to be turning against these people who were going to try and use the Galactus cluster against Earth. But that's not what's going on. That was kind of what I felt like the issue is making you think was going on, but that's not what's going on. It turns out Tarleton, the main guy on the satellite, he has betrayed his own people. The Galactus unit has kind of taken over his mind because he had grafted all these pieces of the machine onto him, and it had taken over his mind. And so then the Vision tries to crash the satellite, just destroy everyone on board, hopefully including the Galactus unit, but then that doesn't work. The Galactus unit gets away, and at one point, I know in Ultimate Extinction, Reed talks a little bit about some of the weapons at the disposal of Galactus, and it talked about how basically, well, one of the weapons that we actually saw in action was sending these Silver Surfer type beings down to Earth to start cults to basically get people to commit suicide, and get them crazy depressed so that they will not feel up to fighting against Galactus. But here we see there's also a plague that turns the people, or some of the people on the ship, into these horrifying looking demon aliens, and that's really scary. And I like that Mike Carey is able to take what we knew about Ultimate Galactus, but then also add to it and make it seem a little bit more terrifying. And while we're at it, props to him for taking what was an entire, miles and miles, like hundreds of miles of Galactus robots that were coming toward Earth, and that was terrifying, but then just taking one of those and still maintaining the terrifying. Would have been very difficult to do, I think, but he pulls it off. So then the robot, it comes down to Earth. Vision is able to I don't know. Wow. Sorry, I just drew a blank. She's able to cut the connection between Tarleton and the Galactus robot, and then he's like, okay, I'm back to my old self. And she says, not encouraging, your old self was kind of awful. And then Sam Wilson comes in. He's kind of got a weird romantic vibe. He feels it for Vision. I don't really think she feels it for him, but he comes in to help, and then they are able, spoilers, I don't want to spoil anything, but they are able to basically defeat the Galactus robot. And there's this other sci-fi project that was on the space station. Her name was, it starts with a D. I don't remember what her name was, but she's there, and we get to see Vision kind of forms a bond with her, and they are both created beings. Vision was created by this species bazillions of years ago with a certain purpose, and this other entity on this space station was also created with a certain goal in mind. And we get to see a little bit of these two trying to fight their programming, and that's kind of a common goal between them, because Vision, her whole program, her whole mission is to go out there and warn other worlds. But here, she's saying, I'm not supposed to fight, I'm not programmed for combat, but here I am stuck on a ship with all these hostile people, and I'm trying to protect this little girl, and I'm also trying to stop the Galactus thing from falling into the wrong hands, and so she has to kind of fight her programming, and we're seeing that theme kind of running throughout the whole book. And I actually, around issue 2, issue 1 I feel like is the weakest. I feel like Vision has to be naive enough to be tricked by these people, and then she gets betrayed, so that the plot of the rest of the miniseries can happen. But I just felt like that didn't really work for me. Vision doesn't seem like she should be that naive based on what we saw of her in the Ultimate Galactus miniseries. But she is, and then starting with issue 2, I was actually really interested in the premise that this series was not going to explore. I don't know if that was intentionally misleading, or if that was never on the minds of Mike Carey and Brandon Peterson, but like I said, I thought that Vision was going to be taking over the space station and turning it against the people who had tried to awaken Galactus and had betrayed her. But it turns out it was Tarleton acting against his own people because Galactus had possessed him. And I would have been interested in Vision is kind of acting without her body, but is having to use the tools of the ship against these people. I don't know if that could have sustained 4 entire issues of this miniseries, but I would have been interested in seeing something like that. But this series wasn't really interested in doing that. It pretty much abandons that by the end of issue 2. I think she's back to her old body, and then we get to Earth pretty quickly after that. But I did enjoy this. Whenever I was reading the Ultimate Galactus miniseries, and I was thinking, I mentioned how it introduces all these new characters to the Ultimate Universe, and I mean, it's like 7 or 8 that it introduces, and I completely forgot that the Ultimate Vision, that she had gotten her own miniseries. And then at the end of Ultimate Extinction, when Nick Fury says that she's gone off to another world, I was thinking, okay, well, I guess we're never going to see her again. So I was surprised, and honestly, when I was looking on my shelf up here, I was surprised that I even had this. I didn't remember reading it. That doesn't speak highly of the quality of the story, but I did enjoy it this time. But I just did not remember that the Vision had her own Ultimate miniseries. But that is about it. I guess in terms of the Vision, I do like how she's presented here. Like I said, the whole theme of her trying to fight against her programming and be something more for this occasion. Her going and being a warning beacon against Galactus coming, that's not a bad thing for her to be fighting against, but in the context of this miniseries, she needs to be more than that, and I like that she is trying, kind of struggling with that. MODOK, or Tarleton, he's never called MODOK here, he is very menacing and kind of disgusting, both his behavior, and by the end of the book, he just looks really gross. I like the way it handled him. By the end, I don't know if he ever shows up again somewhere else, or if this was just kind of sequel baiting him and then they never got around to it. I don't know how they would have handled MODOK later on, if they would have tried to... Spoilers, I'll just show you. There's a whole lot of covers here, sorry. Here we go. Okay, so here he is at the end. He's just a head. He's just eaten a lizard or something. And he's a normal human-sized head. He's not a giant, like, 5-foot-tall head like he normally is in the Marvel Universe. So I don't know if they would have just given him a new cyborg body, and then he would have more or less looked humanoid. I don't know. And I don't know if he showed up again in the Ultimate Universe. But I like him as a terrifying, actual, legitimate threat. A lot of times, when I see MODOK, and sometimes creators will just play him as a joke. I remember years ago, the MODOK's 11 miniseries by Zeb Wells, who I think is the current writer on Amazing Spider-Man, that played MODOK kind of as a joke. The Hulu series with Patton Oswalt played MODOK as a joke. A lot of times people see giant head in a floating chair, and they can't take that seriously. I think in Iron Man the Animated Series, at one point, they actually had MODOK in a little baby carrier that the bad guys were disguised, and he was disguised as a little baby in a baby carrier. It was absolutely ridiculous. And so a lot of times it's really hard for me to take MODOK seriously because a lot of the creators telling MODOK stories are not taking him seriously. But here, they don't make him a joke. He is a very terrifying, gross, menacing character, and I kind of like that. Every once in a while, I'd love to see MODOK be portrayed that way. So that is about all I think that I have to say about the Ultimate Vision miniseries. Since I did not remember reading it at all, I will say I was pleasantly surprised by it, and I don't know why I didn't remember it. Don't know why I pushed that out of my brain. But those are my thoughts on this. I hope that you guys liked this review, and I will talk to you in the future with something else. In the meantime, have a great rest of the day. Catch you later.